libraries that are being planned for James City County and Williamsburg. Basically, both of them are planning two separate libraries, less than about 3 miles from each other. Both of them somewhere in the $20-25 million range list price. So it looks like both of them are going to move those forward as best they can on their own. They're not going to help each other build them. That's not the plan anymore. It's going to be two libraries, but there is still this whole thing of their joint operating agreement, which says basically, hey, James City County residents can come to the Williamsburg Library and Williamsburg residents can go to the James City County Library. And that's been in place for a while now, but that contract is going to come to an end here soon, and it's time for them to go ahead and renegotiate that, because ultimately that is really one of the cores of whether the city is really going to need to build such a large library if James City County residents aren't even going to be able to come to it. So just a couple of issues here that I put in the commentary related to it. As I mentioned, we need to make some progress on finalizing the joint operating agreement. Without that, the organizations are just building what they hope is necessary. Now, it looks like this is going to happen. But when you're talking about approving tens of millions of dollars for multiple libraries, it seems a little bit about putting the cart before the horse if you haven't even figured out how you're going to work with each other going forward. It also has implications on how expensive it's going to be to operate the libraries. If this cost were to fall exclusively on Williamsburg, James City County was no longer going to be participating. Well, they didn't help pay for the building. Now their people aren't coming to it. That's a big expense for Williamsburg to build a nice big building and pay people to operate it if James City County isn't part of it. So look, they'll probably come to an agreement, but it's time. Williamsburg, for their part, claimed that they were going to raise $5 million in private funding and grant funding. So far, that hasn't happened. So it's time for somebody other than Williamsburg residents to have some skin in the game on these big projects. I don't know. Is there somebody with deep pockets that wants to slap their name on it? Why don't we figure that out before we go and, promise $25 million in public money or whatever it's going to wind up being? But, the other part here is negotiating the shared expense of where the administrative staff is going to go. James City County doesn't want to pay to build the library in Williamsburg. But if the administrative staff is going to sit in Williamsburg for their joint operations, then James City County should be on the hook for some percentage of that. And the precedent comes from the recent school agreement that identifies James City County schools and Williamsburg schools, but the stuff they share, they're going to pay for together. And that's what Williamsburg should hold their neighbor to right now. It's worth a significant amount of money. It can certainly help Williamsburg build the type of library that it wants to. Once all of that is done, then finally, they might actually have a price that they can tell people about. Because not only are talking about the principal amount, which is going to be $20 million, let's just say it, but there's interest costs on top of that. Are they going to factor any construction contingencies? Who knows? What about what about the multi-million-dollar expenditures